Hey guys, PIEGUYRULZ here, and in the past, I've spoken about wanting creators to listen to the fans. I realize now that this statement can be taken a great many ways, so I think it best to make a video about it to quash any ambiguity. When I say that creators should listen to fans, I mean that as literally as possible. They should hear what fans are saying. Just listen, keep an eye out, pay attention, seek it out, look at it, etc. I explicitly do not mean listen as in the creators should just blindly follow what the fans demand, or that they should follow just my personal suggestions. To give one example, I suggested that the South Park creators should listen to the criticism they've gotten in regards to the serialized format they've been trying. Now, I don't mean that they should just stop because some fans say they should. I mean that since there is a sizable amount of people who disliked it, it is certainly worth it as creators to listen to what these people have to say and do a reevaluation themselves of their own work to decide if they agree or disagree with the detractors. If a creator truly believes the audience is wrong, then so be it. Creators should absolutely follow what they think is best at the end of the day. I would never force an artist to use my suggestions, even if I had the power to. I might think they're turning in a worse creation, but a creator being forced to do anything rarely turns out well. It's important to remember that creators have a different viewpoint of their work than the audience does. Plus, when it comes to something like an animated series, there are a lot of people working on it, and the initial vision of the writer could easily be different than what ends up being the final product. And it's very easy for creators to get tunnel vision and focus too much on a certain aspect of production at the detriment of simple things like the story or the characters. So yeah, sometimes fans are able to see things that the creator is blind to, and that's why I believe that they are an important resource that the creator should absolutely utilize. That said, of course, fans don't always know what's best. We aren't professional writers, we don't have the training and experience, and let's be honest, a lot of things that sound like good ideas may not be easy to pull off on screen for various logistical reasons. Plus, some fans get too attached to characters to know what's best for the story. Just look at all that awful wish fulfillment fanfiction there is out there. I mean, hey, it's great that you think Bob and Sally should end up with each other, but nothing in the story actually supports it, and if it actually happened, it would be completely cheesy and awful. An important thing to note, however, is that there is such a thing as feedback overload. If you look at each individual fan response, it's absolutely overwhelming. I can tell you that as a small YouTuber with 50,000 subs, even I experience a feedback overload. And if you're constantly checking what every person says about your creation, it will lead to absolute insanity. You can't please everyone, and some people have pretty far out their opinions. So while I think it's advantageous for creators to look at feedback, it's important that they mostly look at the big picture, the comments that have a bunch of people agreeing with them. And I'm not saying that they're right just because the majority agrees, but I am saying that if a lot of people agree that a certain character is annoying, for example, there might just be something to the complaints, and at the very least, it's worth looking into. It's also important to remember that I'm talking about TV shows here, and that they are designed to make money. If someone is making art purely for the sake of making art, then really, they only have to please themselves. In this industry, though, it's the people that are directly or indirectly paying for the art, by either viewing ads on TV or paying for Netflix or Hulu, etc. And while that doesn't mean that artists should give in to fan demands just because they pay the bills, it's important that they don't completely shun their fan base either. In a certain artistic sense, as long as the creator is doing what they believe is artistically right, then that's what's right for the story. However, in a more practical sense, writers aren't infallible and sometimes make mistakes. Sure, there are plenty of brain-dead fans, but there are also those of us who do care about good storytelling and can offer an interesting second opinion. And that's really all it is. I'm not claiming I know better than a professional, I'm just giving my interpretation and input. Some people claim that I'm acting entitled for wanting a certain show to do something, but really, I've never expected creators to watch my videos or listen to me directly. I'm just putting my thoughts into the world, and whoever wants to listen can take or leave them. And let's also not forget that not every decision a creator makes is one they're in love with. Sure, there are parts of their creation that they adore and wouldn't change for the world, but there are also parts that they might be on the fence about themselves and have no problem with changing after getting some good feedback. Think about how many decisions that they have to make on any given show. The dialogue, the characters, the actors, the color scheme, the plot points, etc. It just goes on and on. Sometimes as a creator, you just have to pick something just to move production along, and you're kind of just taking a blind guess, which is where fan feedback can certainly come in handy after the final final product is finished. What I'm saying here is relevant in a lot of mediums, but I think it is especially relevant for television because television is ultimately an ongoing story or series of stories. While criticism of a movie might not be that useful unless the movie is getting a sequel, criticism of a show is definitely valuable because although they work on a bunch of episodes at once, at the end of the season, creators can look back at what the fans are saying and apply that to any future seasons. If people are saying that the color scheme on a character is too bright and obnoxious, they can easily mute that. If fans really hated a plot point, then you can easily write something in that explains it a little bit better in the second season premiere. So to sum it all up, I believe that creators should look at fan feedback, particularly the feedback that gets agreed upon by a large section of the fan base. Then the creators should take that information, look back at their work, and either take or leave the criticism depending on what they believe is right for the story. They shouldn't get hung up on pleasing every person, and they shouldn't blindly follow what their fans say. They should just consider what the fans are saying. Fan feedback is a tool, just like any other resource creators have available to them. And like any tool, it has its correct and incorrect uses. It's not the end-all be-all solution, but it can certainly help, especially in the right hands. I hope you enjoyed this topic. Here are a few other videos that I have done in the past that are somewhat related and you might want to check out if you did enjoy this audio essay. Thank you very much for listening, and I will await your feedback in the comments. PIEGUYRULZ, out.